Dunbar Armored. The Dunbar Armored Robbery of 1997 was a major heist in Los Angeles history. On September 12th, 6 men led by Alan Pace III stole $18.9 million, roughly $36 million today, from the Dunbar Armored facility. This bold act remains the largest cash robbery in the U.S. history until a recent heist in 2024 surpassed it. Pace, along with his childhood friends, carefully planned the operation. They exploited weaknesses in Dunbar's security, breaching the facility through a tunnel under construction next door. The robbers turned off the alarm system and, surprisingly, quickly overpowered the guards. The crew's plan needed to be improved. Despite their best efforts, the FBI eventually closed in, aided by an important tip and a vast sum of money, making it difficult to hide. A large portion of the stolen cash was never recovered. The Dunbar Armored Robbery became a notorious case, showcasing both the audacity of criminals and the relentless pursuit of justice. It also exposed vulnerabilities in armored car facilities, leading to increased security measures. United California Bank. In 1972, a group of clever thieves pulled off one of the biggest bank robberies in history. Their target? The United California Bank in Laguna Niguel, California. These weren't your typical smash-and-grab robbers. Led by a guy named Emil Dincio, they were professional burglars who carefully planned. They rented a place close by to use as their secret hideout. On March 24th, they snuck into the bank through a clever trick, drilling a hole in an empty building next door. Once inside, they weren't after the teller drawers. Their goal was the big prize, the safe deposit vault. Over the weekend, they carefully cracked open hundreds of safe deposit boxes, scooping up millions of dollars in cash, jewelry, and bonds. Amazingly, they got away clean at first. There weren't any fingerprints or clues left behind. But the FBI isn't easily fooled. They noticed a pattern when the thieves did something similar in another state. Plus, some intelligent detective work linked the robbers to their California hideout. Ultimately, the FBI foiled their plans and caught most of the gang. Even though they got caught, the United California Bank heist remains fascinating because of the clever planning and the vast amount of money stolen. It's a reminder that even the most well-thought-out crimes can be cracked. British Bank of the Middle East. The year was 1976. Lebanon, once a stable place in the Middle East, was swallowed in the flames of civil war. Amidst the chaos, a group of criminals saw an opportunity, a chance to pull off one of the most brazen bank robberies in history. Capitalizing on the confusion and weakened security, the robbers devised a plan. Their goal was to rob the British Bank of the Middle East, located right next to the Catholic Church in Beirut. They used explosives to blast a hole through the shared wall, effectively granting them access to the bank from an unexpected location, which was a place of worship. But their operation wasn't just with force. The gang came prepared with professional locksmiths included in their crew. These specialists swiftly breached the bank's vault, granting access to it. The robbery included not just cash, but valuable stocks, gold bars, and a collection of precious jewels. The escape was as clean as the execution. The robbers vanished into the streets of war-torn Beirut, leaving authorities with nothing but the gaping hole in the church wall. To this day, the mystery remains unsolved. None of the stolen riches were ever recovered, and no arrests were ever made. Northern Bank. In the dead of winter 2004, in the streets of Belfast, Northern Ireland, a far more cold gripped the Northern Bank. Not a single window was smashed, and no alarms blared. This heist was executed in darkness. They struck not at the steel and glass, but the flesh and blood, taking the families of 2 bank employees hostage. They turned these very workers into accomplices. The bank wasn't robbed, it was bled. Over 2 nights, millions of unused notes were sucked out, a slow, agonizing hemorrhage of the bank's coffers. The stolen cash vanished like smoke. The mastermind behind it is still a mystery. The IRA whispers claimed their fingerprints smudged on the stolen millions, but proof remains elusive as the robbers themselves. Banco Central. The 2005 Banco Central burglary in Fortaleza, Brazil, holds a notorious reputation as one of the biggest bank heists in history. While it may not currently hold the official title in the Guinness Book of World Records, it achieved legendary status for the daring plan and the immense sum stolen. The heist happened over a 3-month period. A cunning 25-member gang devised a clever cover story, a fake landscaping business. This facade provided them with the perfect excuse to rent a property near the bank. Under the cloak of this normalcy, they embarked on a clandestine operation. For months, they carefully dug an extensive 256-foot tunnel, burrowing their way underground and culminating at their ultimate target, the vault floor of the Banco Central itself. Their persistence paid off. Once they breached the vault, the thieves gained access to the hall. They carted away several containers packed with Brazilian reais, amounting to a total of 160 million reais. Despite the elaborate plan and immense loot, the aftermath proved less successful for the gang. Authorities only managed to apprehend 8 individuals, and just 20 million reais were ever recovered. The mastermind behind this plot and a large portion of the stolen millions remains unknown to this day. Brinksmat. In 1983, 6 thieves, expecting a quick score of cash, stumbled upon a gold mine at the Brinks S-Mat security depot. Their aim was $1 million in foreign currency. Imagine their surprise when they cracked the vault and discovered not stacks of bills but tons of gold bullion. Shiny gold bars worth over 26 million pounds. Here's the twist. Getting rid of all the gold was a massive headache. Melting it down was risky, so they enlisted a shady character to help. This new player, a crafty criminal named Kenneth Noy, devised a plan to distinguish the gold by mixing it with other metals. Unfortunately for them, this golden scheme wasn't so golden. The unusual mix attracted suspicion, and soon police were hot on their trail. The Brinksmat robbery became a national scandal. It exposed weaknesses in security and fueled a wave of organized crime. Only a few men were ever convicted, and most of the gold remains missing to this day. The Brinksmat heist serves as a reminder that even the biggest scores can come with a hefty price tag, and that crime most of the time doesn't pay. Securitas Depot. A quiet town in England called Tonbridge witnessed a shocking heist in 2006. The target was not your local bank but Securitas, a high-security depot trusted by millions. The robbers didn't come in guns blazing. Instead, they took a terrifying detour: kidnapping. They snatched the depot manager and his family, using them as pawns to gain entry. Inside the vault, they weren't after a few bags of cash. They were after a king's ransom, 53 million pounds. They loaded trucks with cash, leaving behind a trail of fear and a bewildered town. The police were baffled. How could such a secure place be robbed with the manager's help? And the answer was obvious: an inside man. One of the depot workers, tempted by riches, tipped off the robbers. The robbers enjoyed their stolen millions for a short while. A network of informants and good detective work led to their capture, although most of the money was never recovered. Knightsbridge Security Deposit. In 1987, a cunning criminal named Valerio Visei, already a notorious figure in Italy with over 50 armed robberies under his belt, attempted a daring heist in London that nearly went down in history as the perfect crime. Visei, with an accomplice by his side, approached a safe deposit vault at Knightsbridge Security Deposit. Their plan was audacious in its simplicity. They posed as ordinary customers, feigning interest in renting a safe deposit box. Once granted access to the vault, the facade shattered. Guns were drawn, overpowering the unsuspecting bank manager and guards, taking control of the situation. Visei and his partner displayed efficiency. A closed sign was strategically placed on the bank door, masking their activities from the outside world. With time on their side, they cracked open as many safe deposit boxes as possible. The spoils were immense. Millions in cash and valuables vanished from the vault, replaced by emptiness. Their escape seemed flawless. Visei and his ill-gotten gains disappeared from London, seeking refuge in the vastness of South America. However, his love for fast cars proved to be his undoing. Years later, a yearning for his prized Ferrari left behind in England lured him back. This act of attempting to ship the car to his new home triggered alarms. Visei, once a ghost, was back on the radar, and his return trip ultimately led to his arrest. Dar es Salaam Bank. Back in 2007, a crazy bank heist happened in a war-torn city called Baghdad, Iraq. Their target was Dar es Salaam Bank, which people trust with their money. Imagine you're a local bank, but in a much more dangerous place. This wasn't a smash-and-grab job with shouting and masks. It was something stranger. Two security guards who knew the bank's routines and weaknesses decided to steal a massive amount of money. Being on the inside gave them an advantage. Here's the crazy part. Reports say they took $282 million. That's like a mountain of cash. More money than most people imagine. Some people say they even had help from people outside the bank, maybe even militia members, to sneak past checkpoints with all that loot. The police were shocked. They launched a vast investigation, but catching the robbers wasn't easy. Sadly, to this day, most of the money is missing, and no one's been held responsible. The Dar es Salaam bank heist became a big mystery. Central Bank of Iraq. In the chaotic days leading up to the Iraq War in 2003, Baghdad witnessed a strange kind of bank robbery. The thief was none other than Saddam Hussein, the country's dictator. Fearing his enemies would seize Iraq's money, Hussein sent his son, Qusay, with a handwritten note to the central bank. The note demanded a massive withdrawal, nearly $1 billion. Trucks rolled up, the money was loaded, and just like that, a huge chunk of Iraq's cash vanished. The story doesn't end there, though. American forces eventually recovered most of the stolen money. But incredibly, some soldiers, recounting the recovered loot, decided to help themselves. Sadly, 35 soldiers were caught stealing hundreds of thousands of dollars for themselves and their families. This act of betrayal left a bitter taste alongside the recovered money.